All right. So, as you all can see, we have a guest here today. So, this very session is extremely important to me because it is the beginning, or I would like to address it as a kick-off session of a whole new phase in this agile community here at Being Agile. So, um, we've been having a lot of questions, people reaching out and wanting to deep dive on a practical, safe perspective, that is skilled agile framework perspective. Even in our internal community, agile community, being agile community, we've been having a lot of questions, and even on our social media platforms. And so we came together and we decided to start this series, and it's going to go on for a while, where we would be inviting experienced Scrum Masters that are working in a safe environment, so that they can come and share their real life experience. And then our community will also have an opportunity to meet real life Scrum Masters and ask them questions on what's going on their job. So that is why this is really important to me. So look forward to this every Sunday, as we have people who wants to come up here and share their experience with you. We will be glad to host them. With that being said, let's get started. So I would like to, as you can see, we have Mr. Kilem Chekadam. He's a senior Scrum Master, currently working in a safe environment. And I'm so honored to have you today, Mr. Kilem. So if you would go ahead and introduce yourself, so that the audience may know you for who you are, that will be amazing.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for inviting me. Hi, everybody. As you all heard from our great coach, Karen, Fomafung, my name is Kilem Chekadam, and I've been a Scrum Master for almost 8 years now, and had the opportunity to work in a safe environment for the past 3 to 4 years. And I'll first of all like to thank Karen for this initiative, and that she's starting, to help our community and some of us who have want to venture into this environment, and all those who also are in the environment. And I tell you, help, you will get experience every day. You hear something from anybody in this environment. It's not a one time know all. So just the fact that you connect every Sunday, you will keep on learning. So as much as possible, share, because that is what I do to bring other people on board. That being said, I've had experience as a Scrum Master. I transitioned from a basketball coach back in Cameroon. I'm Cameroonian. To becoming, when I started my career as a cybersecurity analyst here, and then a Scrum Master was brought in to facilitate, to coach one of the teams I was, working with. And I discovered that was kind of coaching. I linked it to basketball, and that aligned. So I picked that up, and from there, I fell in love with Scrum, and then I took a safe certification, and because I had to work in a safe environment, up in Boston, National Grid, and yeah, so it's been an interesting route. It's been a one that has given me a lot of experience. It's been one that has made me met a lot of people, interesting people, of course, and it's been the one that has made me strong, because I've had issues, problems at work, and as a coach, you try to get all those solved. So yes, Karen, that's a bit about me.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. And for those that are from Cameroon and currently watching now, and you may know Kilem because he used to be a very popular basketball coach back then in Cameroon. So
Yeah,
as you can see, it aligns perfectly well with what he's currently doing, and he's so passionate about
right.
it. And I thought there'll be no better person to kick off this initiative with other than him. So I'm so very honored and happy to have you here today.
Thank
So,
you.
um, I, I, I would just like you to talk to our audience. What how can you differentiate skilled agile framework from ordinary Scrum?
But the difference here that I'll try to, come try to explain to the best of my ability is, Scrum is in itself, it's working for a teams or a couple of teams, of 2 to 3 teams, and within a specific sphere. And the difference now when it comes to scale agile is when you're working for a larger organization that has many Scrum teams that have to align to a particular product, and then you have to bring in other teams and to make it work. It's just like a moving train. When a train is moving, you have different coaches for a train, and before the last coach can move, for the whole train to move, one coach needs to pull another for the train to get to its destination. So that is in a nutshell to explain what save is to a 10-year-old or somebody that doesn't know about it. It is trying to align all those coaches, trying to align all those various teams to at the end of it all add value to whatever product you're working on.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. So, just to reiterate, what I gathered is you would see almost all organizations, especially software development organizations that are practicing Agile, they are doing Scrum.
Yeah.
However, 30% of these organizations practicing Agile Scrum, they do SAFe because SAFe is a framework that has been designed to connect moving pieces. And the moving pieces is in terms of different teams so that you can understand the big picture. You see, so all of these different teams working on a common initiative is a way to coordinate and align the different pieces of work they're doing so that especially leadership can be able to assess from a big picture standpoint. That's where SAFe really comes into play. So, Mr. Killiam, I would just like to ask you, from your experience as a Scrum Master working in a safe environment, what do you do? What do you do as a Scrum Master in a safe environment?
Well, as a Scrum Master in a safe environment, you basically still carry your rules as a normal Scrum Master would do. You facilitate the ceremonies that your teams have, the same ceremonies that we have in Scrum, basically the same that we have in a safe environment. Just that in a safe environment, you have another meeting like the Scrum of Scrums, because you're bringing as you said, it's a big picture, so you're bringing every Scrum Master, they bring in every Scrum Master in a safe environment to make sure that every bit and piece is aligned to the other. If we can get catch any dependencies, and we try to solve them. And when all these Scrum Masters come together, you have a lot of ideas, and you even have help on how to go about and solve these dependencies.
Awesome. So I also hear about a very popular meeting, PI planning. Yeah, so that's the key thing that I hear outside of the Scrum or Scrum meetings that
Yeah.
happens in a safe environment. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, PI planning is a meeting. The whole team comes together to plan for the future iterations. It depends on how organizations handle theirs, but usually they do it in quarters. For every organization I've worked with, maybe some other people do it differently, but they do it in quarters. And during these quarters, if you take the first organization that I worked with, we had 2 full days of PI planning.
Wow.
And yeah, 2 full days of PI planning. And then the second one I worked with in a safe environment, we had a week of PI planning. It was a long
That's
time.
interesting.
And the Scrum Masters came together during the Scrum meetings, and then we try to cut that down and introduce what is we call um, and introduce what we call the pre-PI planning. So you already plan for a lot of stuff before you get into PI planning. So this
Okay.
pre-PI planning helped us a lot
Hmm.
to cut down the work for PI planning. And then we ended up having PI planning just for 2 days, and 8 to 12, 8 to 12, 2 days, and we are done.
Amazing. I just want to make sure that our viewers are picking out some very important things that you're saying. You see, that's the concept of value adding. As an agile
Yeah.
practitioner, you're not just going there and hoping that they will give you tasks and then that's going to be what you will be doing for the rest of your stay in that organization. Then what's the point? What's the point in bringing someone they're looking up to as a practitioner? So when you go into an environment and you realize that they are doing things that, especially in an agile environment, and then you see that they are doing things that are not value adding or there are rooms for improvement, don't just sit back and wait for someone else to do it. It is your
Right.
calling to go ahead and do that thing. He
Right.
said that he
Absolutely.
joined an organization and they were spending a week for PI planning.
Yeah.
How efficient or how effective can that be? You see, so they came together and they assessed the situation and then they introduced what they call pre-PI planning. That really helped to cut down 3 days out of the PI planning, and they were only able to do it for 2 days. That is really,
Yep.
really, really interesting. And I've also been in an environment that we ended up cutting down our PI planning to only happen for 6 hours. Most organizations, especially organizations that practice another form of what the safe the skilled agile framework called PI planning, they call it quarterly product planning. With quarterly product planning, about we would be in a team of 7 different scrum teams under that program, and when we conduct that quarterly product planning, within 6 hours or 5 hours we are done, because pre we've already pre-do all of the things that we are supposed to do to prep ourselves, and then when we come to that meeting we are just going straight to the point, you see. And then the difference between this quarterly product planning and the standard PI planning is that with the quarterly product planning, we really don't plan and go into details, into the nitty-gritty piece of things, because we know that change will happen. That's the whole essence of agility. And that's why you see some people would say they don't like safe. I mean, like the traditional safe, I am one of the people that would clearly say that I am not for it. Because like for this PI planning, they will go to these meetings and then they plan in details. When they go back to their various teams and want to start sprinting the work, or what they call iterations in the traditional safe environments, you realize that it becomes difficult to incorporate changes that will happen, which then defeats the whole essence of agility. Number one. And then secondly, what is the point in planning for a whole quarter when you know that these changes will still happen? It means that you've wasted capacity, you've wasted resources, you've wasted energy. Again, it defeats the purpose of agility. So based on my own experience in both the quarterly product planning setup and the traditional PI planning setup, I would always root for the quarterly product planning setup. But again, it depends on the environment. I've also been in an environment where we practice. It wasn't safe. It wasn't a skilled agile framework environment, but we used to do the PI planning meetings. That was the only events inside the safe framework that we would do. And during this PI planning meeting, what we would do, the meeting would just only happen for 3 hours. It only happened for 3 hours, and we were just two teams. So again, it really depends on the environment. So you can pick from all the different frameworks, and then you use based on the issues or based on the gaps of your own organization. Yeah. So
Yeah. Before can I interrupt you for a little
yeah, go
bit?
ahead.
Yes. Yeah, because for every organization I've worked with that is practicing the agile, the safe agile, we've always had that, from especially developers, we've always had that issue of why are we doing all this now when there's still a lot to come after
Mhm.
the PI planning, and how we have to start incorporating and all that. Just to buttress what Karen just said, yeah, you have those problems, and you have to look for a way to solve them, because there's always a scope change, and it really comes down to defeat the whole purpose of why are we even practicing safe.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much. So let's move on to my next question for you. So I think that the question is already kind of answered partially. So, what are some key factors or activities about the SAFe framework, which makes it different from the standard Scrum?
Yeah, activities from the safe framework that makes it different from Scrum is number one, there is a PO sync that we hardly you get in a regular Scrum team, and then there is a general system demo that introduces every single team and upper management uh, during the PI, and then you have not during the PI, but during the life of the cycle, and then yeah, we also there is also the need for dependency solving. There's a lot of dependencies because one team has to go across the board to communicate or discuss with another team in order for their functionalities to move, and this is I would say one of the most important thing as a scrum master to focus on, because you as the scrum master, you have to organize, making sure that when they catch these dependencies, you are the one that have to talk it over with your PO, and then you see who is responsible for these dependencies, and you contact them and see if they will accept them. And when they do accept them, you have to organize these meetings and to discuss about them, and then to try to mitigate them. And usually, I don't know, as I said, other organizations use different resources. I'll go back to the one I'm working on now, or we use the Rome board, which is the Rome ROAM, risk, acceptance, um, and then mitigation.
Mhm.
Excuse me, what is yes, R.
All this acronym sometimes tends
The acronyms, yes,
to be a
sometimes
pain
the acronyms,
in the butt.
yes, but the room bot, you just identify the risk, which are the dependencies, and then you contact, you get the team that is responsible for, and then they accept it, and then you all you mitigate it, and then you as the scrum master, you have to make sure that you follow up to see that if they have it in Jira, as they have to go in there and accept, and commit to these stories or features that you want them to work on, so that that gets off your plate, and you can only wait for results for them, so that they are responsible if they don't want to commit to it because for some reason they don't have capacity for that, and then they have to go in there and not commit on it, so that
Okay.
you can look for other ways to solve those dependencies.
Okay, awesome. So what I'm hearing is that some of the key factors about safe that is not in the traditional Scrum, according to the Scrum guide, is you have the PO sync meeting. Um, I also heard about the dependency management meeting where you would have dependency mapping, looking for the different teams that you are depending on or they are depending on you, and you start having conversations on how you want to sequence the work. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And then I've also heard about the PI planning, which you just talked about, and the Scrum of Scrum meetings. So those are those are the four key things that I've heard. So I'm just reiterating that for the sake of our audience. So as we continue to have this conversation for the new people who just joined, thank you so much for joining. As you join, please go ahead and share. And there are different ways to support an initiative for us to focus on what we are doing. There is if you check right there, you would see, I don't know what YouTube calls it, but there is a way where you can support our initiative. So if you feel like doing so, please feel free to do so. And also do not forget to like and share and subscribe, so that you will not miss out on all of the great content we keep bringing here frequently. And also leverage the comment section. Keep dropping your questions, because we'll have time to take your questions. Okay, so my next question for you is now, what are some of the challenges you have encountered working in a
Oh
safe
yeah.
environment?
Yeah, challenges they never end. challenges they never end. I would say, because you meet a lot of new team members that are not, they have not been versed with safe, and they don't know nothing about it. Some even come to work in safe environments and they've never even heard about Scrum. So you should be ready to answer their questions, as they put it all the time. And another thing is, it is for very large organizations like the one I work for, last, before now. They, it's so big in such a way that it's difficult. It was even very difficult for us to trace the path of any dependency that we found. It was difficult to get people, other teams, to commit, to, whatever feature we're working on.
Mhm.
And yeah, the pre PI planning did help. It did help to solve most of those things. And another problem is, I've worked for a team once, as a Scrum Master, and one week into the hot seat as a Scrum Master, I didn't meet anybody to onboard me as a Scrum Master, and boom, we just dropped into a PI planning. It was a
Mhm.
big one. Yeah, it was a big one. That is one of the challenges. So you must always be ready, for that. And then the tools too, they are different with organizations. I've used P planning. I've used many other tools. Some organizations, they actually just create their own, and you should be up to date to, during your onboarding, to find out which tools you use, so that if they are very new to you, you can just go ahead and start practicing on those tools, and just get an up knowledge of what those tools, they look like. And at a certain point, there is, even during a PI planning, upper management can come in with a new idea when you people are already gone,
Mhm.
really gone, into PI planning. And of course, those adjustments, they have to be made. There's always, your colleagues or developers who will always ask you, what's the need? Why are we even
Yeah,
doing
what's
this?
the point?
This type
What's
of
the
work,
point
this
in
is
all
type
this?
of work that we should be putting this at work. I don't know why I'm here for meetings. I don't think it really works. It doesn't help. And it's sometimes, especially when it's not in a software development environment, you get a lot of that. You get a lot of, you
Mhm.
know, yeah, engineers would tell you, this should work for software. It doesn't work for what we are doing here. But at the end of it all, if you talk to them, you know where they are short, and you explain it to them, and then they get the big picture.
Yeah, I mean, I can easily resonate with what you're saying, especially where you say some developers are wondering, why are we even doing this in the first place? It doesn't work for us. Sometimes they have a point, and I don't blame them. And in my own experience, what I've seen is that you see organizations just doing cut and paste. Just because they see organization A doing it, they think, okay, we have to do it too. They don't know you, they don't even understand why they're doing it. So they will just go cut it and paste it, and they just want their teams to start carrying out the events, and they are not able to map out the value that the organization is getting from this event. So I can understand the frustration of these team members sometimes. And then too, on the challenge of other teams not wanting to commit to the dependencies, again, it still boils down to capacity. Sometimes they
Right.
feel like their capacity, if they don't have the capacity, and they only wanting them to take on these other dependencies when they're already struggling with their own commitment, you see. And sometimes you will hear teams sounding like that when they still don't understand the purpose or why you all are doing this, and the agile mindset is not there,
Yeah.
because they really don't see why they should be worrying about your own work. and
Right.
and you typically see that when they don't have the mindset of, we are a team, regardless of whether it's 10 different scrum teams, we all at the end of the day is a team working on a common initiative. which is for the benefit of our common clients. So they will see whatever you're asking them to commit to as your work, not their work.
Yes.
They will fail to understand that okay, if you are failing, they are failing. So they fail to understand
Right.
that. So that's one of the challenges. And then on the other hand, too, why some organizations they don't, I mean, some people, some individuals don't like the safe framework. I've been hearing people say this a lot because it is an umbrella to encourage dependencies so that they can prove the validity of safe. Because at the end of the day, the reason why we are doing agile and delivering in little increments and try to set up teams, stable and committed teams, is so that we are able to remove dependencies. Why not instead prioritize removing dependencies as opposed to worrying about managing dependencies? So I've heard a lot of people say that safe um is just an umbrella to kind of validate. So they would leave dependencies there and not worry about or not thrive about finally ending with teams that are that to reduce dependency just because they want to validate the essence of the skilled agile framework. You see, so again, I don't blame them because me too, if I'm working in an environment, I will be thriving to remove this dependency as opposed to worrying about capturing them all, putting them together, and then managing them. You see, so I don't blame them at all.
Yes,
Let's
sorry. But another thing again is like the safe environment enables, for easy transmission of, especially if you're not working in a safe software development environment.
Mhm.
You can be working on a project that, like I worked on a project that we were providing, security for National Grid Global, and during this time we were on the security side to protect the data security. Now, where do we get the data? How do we know this data is important? How do we know it's important? How do they grade it? So there's another team that's in charge of that. And if you don't, contact them to provide to, know what that data is and how important it is, and know their levels of protection, you won't know where and how to store that data. So that is where safe comes in handy.
Okay, awesome. I mean, yeah, I think that you already answered part of our question. So our viewers, as you join, feel free to drop your questions. And if you feel like supporting us in any way, feel free to use I think it's a heart sign or a dollar sign right down there. I don't know. And click on it, and you should be able to support us in whatever way you can. And thank you again so much for all of your support. Yes, I see so many questions here already. We will get to the questions. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for joining. So while we are doing that, I see Yalem is asking, how can you contact us? If you check the very first message that has been pinned there, you would see the link to our website. Feel free to click on that link. It should take you to our website, and from there you can get our email, phone number directly, or however you want to contact us. Feel free to reach out to us from there. And oh, right before I forget, you all know we offer wonderful, exceptional Scrum Master trainings. And the next session, the July session, starts on the 5th. That is Tuesday. So, for anyone interested in taking the training, you still have time to enroll. So, come to think of it, this is already the second half of the year just starting. If you've been contemplating, waiting, whatever has been keeping you back, whatever has been your setback, this is the time for you. This is a chance for you. Stop being a spectator and come here all the time and listen to other people share their success stories. We all started from somewhere. So go
Yes,
ahead and
exactly.
start, enroll,
Yeah.
and we will help you get value, and we will transform you into an exceptional agile leader. Okay, so how to get on our website? Just check the very first message that has been pinned there. You see the link to our website, click on that link, and it should take you to our website, and go ahead and enroll. We still have spots available. And for those who are in between a certification and just landing a job, let me tell you statistics. Only 30% of certified of people holding a Scrum Master certification are actually working as a Scrum Master, because there is a huge gap in the market in between just being trained to pass the certification and actually understanding what you need to be able to land the job and what you need to be successful on the job, which is key. There is a huge gap. 70% of people who are certified are hardly ever able to breach that gap because nobody ever tells them. Nobody tells them what they're supposed to know. You see, and that is where mentoring comes in. Our level 2 program is designed for that. All of these free resources that we offer here through our website and all our social media platforms are great. But if you want to be guided and reach that goal faster, that level 2 program is designed for you. So reach out and we will be glad to help you. If you've already thrown your certification somewhere thinking that, oh, this thing is not for you, it's not even true. I'm telling you that you still have a place in this agile space. And we will be so glad to be part of that success story. Contact us and we'll be so glad to help you. So with
And
that
yes,
being said,
please, if I can come in for a minute,
yeah,
please. Exactly what she said. Karen is a very good point of reference, and I would recommend 100% that you shouldn't be on the fence. The day I heard about Scrum, I took the training 2 days after. I didn't have the complete money to pay for it, but I borrowed from my sister because I knew if I stayed a couple of days, it will go off my mind, and I'll be thinking of something else. So and her coaching is splendid. Her coaching is exceptional. I've attended a couple of sessions,
thank you.
and it's really helped me. One time I had an interview and I attended her session, and guess what? I had the job. And it was so helpful. I would recommend, each and every one of you, if you are still hanging on the fence, if you are just coming in, please hit below the link and send an email, and then they'll get to you in no time so that you can join us in this beautiful space of being Scrum Masters.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Mercy. It's very simple. To get on board is pretty straightforward. Just send an email and there is someone, we have people in charge of that. They would definitely respond to you as quickly as you can so that you can get on board for level 2. I see you're asking about level 2. All right. So now, Mr. Kilem, what I would like to know is, I know we have talked about all some of the downsides of SAFE according to what people are saying. But I know there should be some interesting things or some benefits of doing SAFE in the first place, because I see some benefits of doing SAFE just as much as I see some downsides of the SAFE practice. So what are some of what exactly do you like about being a Scrum Master in a safe environment? What can you say are some of the benefits of
Um,
safe,
y-
or your
yes,
role as a Scrum Master in a safe environment?
yes, I think I've answered that a little bit before, just a little
Yes. Mhm.
highlight on, getting into when your PO gets into the PO sync, there is a lot of things if they are not versed enough, because I tell you, there are some POs that are not aware of their roles. They think they are your boss, and then they have to come in, just carry you anyhow and command you to do stuff. They are not versed with their role, and I believe their PN sync kind of clears that out. And then second thing is the Scrum of Scrums meeting. You can go in there, ask every question. It's always a safe environment. As much as it is, nothing you say there goes out of that Scrum of Scrums environment. So if you have any difficulties, it always comes together, and there's always somebody there to help. Sometimes you play games, and then you meet other Scrum Masters, you meet other people, you grow your network, and then coming to what you're doing in itself, it's a train. If one part doesn't move well, the other parts that follow behind will not,
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's a train. So if you're focused on a particularly in one single deliverable, if you're focused on one big picture and some parts, of the whole thing is jammed, is
Mhm.
bad, or is taking another turn, then you won't finally get to where you are going. You will. Yeah, I mean, it's going. I always like to take it back to my basketball days. When when you're starting a basketball team, you bring people from different backgrounds, different skill sets, different languages, different physicality. Some are strong, some cannot even run for 10 minutes. And what you're doing is
I guess those that
bringing
cannot run for 10
together.
minutes, that would be me.
Yeah,
Because I cannot run for 10 minutes.
bringing them together and making sure that you are focusing on the goal to throw the hoops and make the points and win the game. So if there is one side of it is weak, then you have to look for a way to cover that weakness. And an agile release train or the safe, space will let you discover early enough which side has to help another side.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really a great point. So safe really helps us to, be able to identify the other parts that are weak, and then we are able to give that support or that momentum so that at the end of the day we all are achieving that common goal. So the key word that I hear out of everything you said is support and alignment, team spirit.
Yes.
See, awesome. Great. So I see a lot of questions there for you, but let's quickly round up with, I think, the last question here. Now, oh, I think we lost you. Are you still there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, but we cannot see you anymore.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we can see you now. Thank you. So, what advice do you have for our viewers?
The advice I would have for our viewers first and foremost is always get the big picture, dream big. If you look behind me, that is for my son. You have to dream big and do not be scared to go into an environment. Everything starts bit by bit, so you're starting with the trainings and making sure that you get the right place to go and train, and you're getting the right advice, and you're getting the right coaches, and you will finally get to where you want to be. You can always get there.
Awesome.
The problem is
Awesome.
you taking that step to get there.
Awesome. Thank you. It starts from somewhere. Don't be afraid. That's what I'm hearing. Don't be afraid. Start from somewhere. Take that challenge. Okay. And
Yeah.
one other thing, too, about this whole training thing, I like to always emphasize just to help your mental state. Don't go take a training and then right after the training, you start calling yourself a Scrum Master,
No.
because you will only end up being demotivated, being demoralized because your dreams are not aligned with reality. That's the thing. You need to be mentored. You need someone to help guide you, especially if this is supposed to be your first ever agile role. You need you need someone to mentor you. That's just the truth. You need that guide for you to understand the practical perspective so that you can go apply that practical perspective during your interview and on the job. And just getting the job, still it doesn't guarantee you staying on that job. That's just the honest truth.
Yeah.
So I call you being able to bypass the phase of finally getting that job as the wedding. The wedding is over. The day you get the job, the wedding is over.
That's
Now,
when the
how
marriage
do
begins.
you keep the marriage? Is
Yeah.
what's important. The
Right.
party and all of that, it's over. It's one day thing. And then now the real life kicks in, which is a marriage. Again, in this space, you cannot succeed alone. You cannot succeed on your own. I always tell people I still have a mentor, and I don't only rely on my mentor, I rely on my community as well. There are times when I'll jump in there and ask questions. Students that I
Right.
have taught, people that I've mentored, I still run to them for questions because you can never know, that's just the simple truth. So, just to help your mental state, even after you take the training, right after your training, don't start calling yourself a Scrum Master, or you can be calling yourself an aspiring Scrum Master while working on the things that you're supposed to put in place so that you finally achieve that goal you're looking for. So now we have questions here. It's over. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Kilem, for showing up here today. We really appreciate you. I see so many questions from our viewers,
My
and
pleasure.
yes, let's see how we can address some of these questions. I'm just gonna put one there. So, do you do mid PI review? That's a question from Rosie. Rosie Humphreys is asking if in your organization you do mid PI reviews.
Can you repeat that again, please?
So, do you do mid PI reviews?
No. I For every organization I've worked with, I haven't. What did I go? Okay, I haven't come across. We haven't had mid PI reviews.
Okay.
Because we usually do our PIs in 3 months, and I bet you they run so fast.
Okay, so in my own experience, we actually do. As a matter of fact, the environment that I've worked for, we plan this work for 3 months. We don't only do meet PI review, we do this every month within. So we do this at the end of the beginning of the fourth week of the first month. We would review how we are progressing towards the goal for that quarter. And then at the end of the seventh week, towards the eighth week, we will still conduct a review just to see how we are doing, if we need to make some adjustments, if the goal is still realistic, if we are still working towards this common interest. And then towards the end of that review, towards the end of that quarter, we will still, while we are preparing already for the next PI, we are also checking if everything is still running smoothly and if we are ready to ship, or you want to call it release whatever the goal was. If that's really what we do. So we don't only do meet, we actually do three of those. So
That's
I hope your
yeah.
question has been answered, Rosie. Yeah, that's from Rosie. All right, let's take the next question here. What are the core activities that must take place during the peer planning? I think we already addressed that. Oh no, we addressed the core activities that will take place in a safe environment, but in a PI planning meeting. What are the core activities that must take place during a PI planning?
Well, during the PI planning, first of all, we start with, there is a general come together of everybody that is supposed to participate in the PI, and after that we usually have breakout sessions.
Mhm.
During these breakout sessions is where you really go in there and try to help your team, with estimation, sequencing. You facilitate, you prepare for system demos during this breakout session, and then and then as a scrum master, you have to be there to manage them, try to manage the time box them and all that, and then to catch these dependencies, and then you try to facilitate and coordinate with other teams, so that you get all this solved during these meetings. And usually, after that, with the teams, they usually come back together, especially those that identify their dependencies into teams, and then they get these cross-functional collaborations, cross-functional discussions. Very important, because if you identify who the dependency is pinned to, and you don't have those discussions to tell them what you want and how soon you want them, then you really haven't done anything. So those discussions are very important. And after these discussions, then it makes the PI smoother. I don't know,
Awesome.
Karen.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I think what I'm hearing is that, especially during this cross-functional conversation, the point there is the conversation, because you
Yeah,
can still identify the dependencies, and you clearly know the teams that you will be relying on for these dependencies to be removed. But if you are not having conversations with them, I think you're just going to assign the work to them. You never know if they are even capable of doing it. You never know if they even have the capacity. Even if they are capable, do they have the capacity? You know,
capacity especially, yes.
yeah, things like that. So it is very important that you have this cross-functional conversation. It's all about conversation, so
Yep.
that you are agreeing that yes, we commit to this, we have your back, we are going to take care of this. Just in case they are not able to, you should be, now you know, and then you will be able to figure something out. So again, the good news, especially on those PI questions, in our subsequent sessions, we will be deep diving. I mean, we really plan to cover in depth, a Scrum Master in a safe environment. So do not worry, we have a lot of good stuff in stock for you. All right. So our next question here is, um, at what point do you get the features to break down to user stories to know that there are dependencies?
Yeah. As I said before, PI pre-PI planning is very important. You may start catching those dependencies as early as as there, right, during the pre-PI planning, and even during the PI planning, you can still there's not a specific time or a point where you can get this. If you practice pre-PR planning, or even during the PI itself, that
Mm-hmm.
you can still go ahead and still catch dependencies in
Mm-hmm.
during your sprint. And you have to escalate that and look for how you have to solve this. So there's no particular point that you will get all the dependencies here and solve them now and all that. That is the beauty with agility, is that anything can come in between at any time, and you should be able to work on that.
Awesome. So I'll just like to add that, at the end of the day, it's all about conversation. There is really no strict rule or law that it is right at this point on week one that you have to start breaking down stories, or live during the PI you have to start doing it. As a scrum master in a safe environment, when I join an environment, I am assessing to see how they are doing things. And my goal is, how can we be efficient? How can we be effective? And you all know the secret of being efficient and effective: proactiveness. So if I realize that they are either always pressured, or they are, always rushing, especially during the PI planning, and they'll forget things, if that's the situation, I'm going to look for ways for us to be proactively ready before the actual event. A perfect opportunity would be during the pre-PI planning. The pre-PI planning. And sometimes I'm having separate meetings with my PO, with the dev leads and leadership, and just to check with them and make sure, like from a PO perspective, I'm checking to ensure that you are ready. You are ready for this PI planning. And what do I even mean by ready? The items that we need to work on is in the product backlog. It's prioritized in the product backlog, and then the team will be estimating from there, or running the PI from that backlog. And then it doesn't mean that they will just come with a whole huge bunch of requests and expect the team to start splitting. No, the PO have to proactively do what they're supposed to do. And then when they come to the pre-planning and the actual PI meeting, if the team member still thinks that some of the items are still too big enough, yes, that's opportunity for them to continuously split these items. And also backlog refinement sessions. Backlog refinement sessions are also perfect opportunities for this pre-splitting of items before the actual meeting. Like I said, at the end of the day, you only have one thing in mind: how can we be efficient, so that we don't miss things, so that at the end of the day we are delivering high quality to our customers. And to successfully do that is think of ways to be proactive. If you need to set up extra meetings, go ahead and do so. You just have to have a conversation with the person concerned, or the person in charge, which in my case would be the PO, and you go ahead and start having that conversations. And I hope that answers your question, Rosie. Okay, so our next question here is, oh, okay. Hi, Karen. Is there any way I can get your contact information? I have contacted your team last week. Oh, okay. I think I already answered that question. Yalem, I already answered that question. So if you want to get on my schedule, you need to book an appointment. That's really how it works. Or else leverage our social media platforms to drop your questions. I would address it. Okay. Doris is asking, what are your top tips for a Scrum Master that is just joining a safe environment for the first time? What are your top tips? I think I already partially answered this question when I just addressed how, at what point you would start splitting user stories. So, Mr. Kilem, if you have anything to add, please go ahead and do so.
Yes, I mean, joining as a Scrum Master, if it's your first time working in a safe environment, if somebody can onboard you to that will be a plus. But usually you don't get that. You don't get that grace when you are getting into an environment. So you need to talk. It's for you to talk, have those one-on-one meetings with other Scrum Masters, or even the Agile release train. If you have coaches, you leverage them to make sure that you know what you are heading into. And you have to make sure that you know all of the ceremonies, for during the framework, that's included in the environment and the framework, and and make sure that you do follow that. Not forgetting your personal your team building skills. You have to build your team. There may be a new team that's not used to save. You are the one that has to introduce them to save, and you have to go an extra way to do that coaching or kind of training for them before they do get into that environment, so that they don't get in there with a lot of confusion.
Awesome. Thank you. So again, what I would just like to add, apart from you sitting up, sit up. Don't
Yeah,
go there and you're just lying and enjoying your new seat and having fun in your office. No. I mean, remember why they hired you in the first place, to come there and add value. And if you call yourself a professional, you should know that relationship building is everything. How do you even build relationship? Reaching out to people, networking, asking
yeah,
questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I see people asking questions as a strength. That's a strength to me. As a
yeah,
hiring manager,
yeah.
if I see a candidate really being curious and inquisitive, or even a team member, that's the kind of person I would want to work with. That's the kind of person
Right.
I want to be on my team. So do not be afraid. Ask questions. Reach out to the people that have been there before you. Ask questions and find out if you have a release trained engineer in that environment. Have a conversation with them. Ask them that what are the expectations? What do you expect from me so that we are successful as a team? And concerning our safe environment, what are some of the key things that you may be needing help from me with? And then you assess and see what's going on there and see how you can also come up with your own ideas to support. Don't go sit there and just relax and then you just want to do your normal routine.
Right. Also, don't forget to join the community. They come in
Yeah,
handy a lot.
yeah, exactly. Except you want to be an ordinary Scrum Masters. And Karen, for those who know me, I don't do ordinary. I don't. Okay, thank you. So we have some few minutes left here before we address the remaining questions. Let me see what questions. Yeah, we still have a couple of questions. So if we don't get to address your question today, please do not take it personal. Do not be offended. So we are focused today really on questions around safe. If your question is not safe related, then we may not be able to prioritize that. Okay. Okay. So Mercy is asking, when do you have system um, demo during PI planning?
Um, for the last organization I work with, the system demo, we carried that at almost at the tail end of the closing ceremony to the PI planning. It may be different in some places. Karen, I don't know what experience you've had about it, but yeah, that is.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my own insight on how this works. Again, as we proceed throughout this series, you will have more and more and more and more insights on what's really going on in a real life environment practicing safe. So, in my experience, once they have set the stage and really kick off the whole thing, draw that momentum, the very next thing is we want to communicate what we've achieved in the previous quarter. We want to demonstrate that, to show just, I mean, just a way of celebrating our win. We want to demonstrate that. And once we've been able to demonstrate that, and now they would give room for all the different key stakeholders, like the PO would do their presentation regarding PO accountabilities. The systems architect will do their own presentation. And during that time where the systems architect is doing their own presentation regarding what's upcoming in this quarter that we are planning for, that's when they would conduct that system demo. So that's when it usually happens in my own experience. And I hope that answers your question, Mercy. Okay, so Ambe, Ambe Innocence say, let me put the question here. When I joined my team, there was no priority field on the Jira board. So I worked with some of their team members to include it on the board. But later on, a senior developer asked me to remove it. Okay, yeah. So that we cannot, I cannot speak to that because I wasn't in that environment. But I hope that worked out well for you and your team. Um, so okay, Innocent is asking on the next question. So what should I do? First of all, why did you think you need a priority field? I always tell people, Innocent, I always tell people that are familiar with working with me, why should you bother fixing a problem that doesn't exist? Do you think the team needs it? And if the team really, you think the team really do need a priority field, and then I would communicate the value, why you think they need it and the value they will, because at the end of the day, it's all about your team. But if they are telling you to remove it, and then they should have a reason. So again, if you think that your suggestion is helpful, you want to make them see the value, because these people, I mean, they are very opinionated and they are not kids. At the end of the day, it's all about you only suggesting. You cannot force them. But my technique is I want to make sure that I'm able to show the value on whatever I'm suggesting, which priority field. If you think it will be valuable to them, that's what you would want to do. All right, so I hope that helps. Edzibiri is asking, when do you get the requirements ask that the team will use to identify the dependencies during the PI planning? I think you connected late. That question has already been addressed. So all of these requirements, or what people call requirements, I call them work items, because there's a huge difference between the requirement and work items. It is the PO's accountability to already, that's part of their job, start collaborating with stakeholders, with customers, with business, the business side, to start gathering all of these work items and filling the product backlog with before the actual event. So that is part of the pre-work that you're supposed to be doing as a team, the PO being accountable for that before you get to the actual meeting.
Yes,
All
and
right.
and especially if you're lucky enough, you have a PO that they know their rules to the tip of their fingers. It makes it easy. But
Yeah.
you can have an issue where the PO thinks is the Scrum Master's job,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have to do a
That's
lot
very
of coaching. You have to do a lot of coaching, and try to make sure that some of them don't even attend the PO sync. Try to make them attend. Try to talk to the coaches. Maybe they need more training as a PO. You can go to an organization and somebody has been there for 25 years and they just say, okay, you are the PO for this and this. And
important.
that is all. They don't even know the rules and they think you
Yeah.
have to come
Yeah.
and hit them with the one to make them understand. So
Mhm.
that's another big problem.
Yeah, that's actually a real problem in the ground. And I think I've addressed that particular point so many
Yes,
times
you
on
have.
this channel. I've addressed that particular point so many, because most of the POs that I have seen, there are some exceptions, but most of the POs that I have seen is, or that I've worked with, they typically have been in the organization for a long time. And they, for a fact, have a good knowledge of the product. But what the organization typically fail to understand is that just because you have a good knowledge of the product doesn't mean that you have a good understanding of the accountability of a PO in in an agile environment. You see, so there is usually some friction between what the PO think they should really be doing and what the PO should actually be doing according to the recommendations of Scrum. So again, when you see things like that, don't fret. Don't be frustrated that, oh, these people don't like me and all of that. They're frustrating me. That's a huge coaching opportunity for you right there. Find a way to approach this person and help them understand what their role really entails. So we are 1 minute out of time, and I still see we have some couple of questions. We're going to take one last question, and then we're going to call it a day. Mr. Killam, I hope you don't mind. We are 1 minute out of time.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. So before we take that last question again, just as a reminder, if you are just connecting, because 30 people just connected lately, if you're just connecting and you're looking forward to becoming a Scrum Master, we can help you. That's what we do. We take pride in helping people in this space accomplish their goal of becoming an agile practitioner. And you have a powerful community. So our program is like a boot camp setting. No, the level 2 program. The level 1 is strictly training. So the difference between our training and the so many other trainings out there is that our training is customized, highly customized to reflect what you actually supposed to know as Scrum Master on the ground. Even though what we cover is the theory part of it and some practicals, but it is not the standard Scrum curriculum. The program itself, Scrum alone, is like 50%. We cover the entire Scrum because that's what the curriculum is that most trainers give. The remaining 50% of our curriculum, being Agile curriculum, are the other things that you're supposed to know on the ground to be successful as a Scrum Master. So there is no better place to take the training than with us. And the reason why when I come here, I always like to talk about it is to just to save you some stress, because I will tell you that about 60% of our clients are students, 60% are people that have already taken the training somewhere. And then they realize that they go for interviews, so many things they're saying, they are so clueless. And then maybe they started following me. They've been watching all the things that I do online. And then most of the things I'm talking about, they're clueless. They've never heard about it, but yet they've already been trained and they have the certification. They will come back again and start from our level one and still take the training. Look, they've wasted money, they've wasted energy, and they've been demotivated. A lot of things have happened. So to save you that stress, you don't say I didn't tell you. I would strongly recommend you come and start your level one with us, and then you see some people too that will get into our level two directly with a clear, they are confident that they've been trained, so they only need level two. When they get into our level two, I mean, we have so many examples. They'll get in our level two and then they realize that, oh, the things that we are talking about here, because level two is not training, level two is intense boot camp setting, mentoring, and coaching. They realize that most of the things that we are practically talking about, they are clueless about. So their foundation was faulty. Now they will go back and start again from our level one, wasting all of that money, resources, you see, just because they didn't listen. Some didn't listen because some only joined the level two just right when they discovered being agile and they learned about me, you see. So just to help you and to save you the stress, please come and start your program with us so that we will make sure that we are setting that powerful foundation for you. And the great news is that there is even how do you call that, 4th of July, 4th of July discount. There is actually a 4th of July discount that will be over tomorrow midnight at 12 a.m. Central Time. So again, if you're looking to be trained in this space, do not hesitate. Join us and we will be more than glad to be part of your success story.
Well,
So
12 midnight Central Time,
Central
right?
Time, yes, Central
Okay.
Standard Time, yes. The 4th of July discounts will be over. So that's Independence Day discount. It's going to be
Yep.
over on the 4th, 12 midnight Central Time. All right, let's take the last question here. It's a as what? Okay, what is the difference between? Okay, I'm interested in taking this one question, and then Mr. Killian, if you want, you go ahead and add whatever you think that will be appreciated.
Okay.
So, what is the difference between agile and safe? That's a good question, and we get these questions all the time. The difference between agile and safe is that agile itself, it's a mindset. That's what agile is all about. It's a way of thinking that is bounded by some set of values and principles that organizations are adopting so that they can better serve their clients. They can deliver the highest quality possible to their clients in little pieces, which is what we call increments, and in shorter cycles. That is agile. That way of thinking of prioritizing people, making sure that the people you're serving are happy, making sure that the people that are working towards serving these customers are happy as well. That is agile for you. Now, under agile, you have so many different frameworks that are what I would call practices that enables you to be able to achieve what I just defined as agile. And these different frameworks, some of them are Scrum, you have Kanban, you have extreme programming, you have Crystal, you have DevOps, you have Safe. So Safe is just one of the frameworks of Agile, you see. And Safe is born from Scrum. Like I said, only 30% of organizations practicing Scrum are actually practicing Safe because organizations started realizing that, okay, now that we are beginning to split our teams into, so because in the past, in the traditional environment, you would see one team would have like 150 people in just one team. But you know that with Scrum, you cannot practice Scrum with that, with so many number of people on the team. It's not going to work. So they started splitting these teams into so many different teams, you see, so that they can be efficient as a Scrum team. And then as they started splitting these teams, they realized that the complexity started going up. And it was difficult now to coordinate the work of these different Scrum teams to be able to track easily from a big picture standpoint or from a one system what all these different teams are doing and still be able to deliver the value they're looking for. And that is where SAFE comes in. That's how SAFE was born. A smart person just thought about the idea, like, how do we go about solving this problem? And this person decided to put a system that will help to close the gap of lack of coordination and silo, you see. So this person came up with SAFE, and it's selling. A lot of organizations are using it. So that's how I can define that for you. And before we go, so that's the end of our session today. So before we go, I would like to let you know that for those who just connected late, this is the very first series of our ongoing SAFE series. So the plan is we will be hosting real Scrum Masters that have experience working in a SAFE environment, and then we'll pick on some specific topic. They will come and they will share the experience with you all, what they've been doing in the SAFE environment, and that will be a perfect opportunity for you to ask questions from real Scrum Masters in a SAFE environment to help clarify on your doubt, your ambiguity, your dilemma, whatever it is. You see, that is really our own way of continuously serving our Agile community. And we hope that you will get value out of this. And again, we need your support. We really do need your support. You can support in any way you can. Sharing is still a form of supporting. Pressing that like button is still a form of supporting. That's encouragement. Subscribing is still a form of supporting. You can support financially. YouTube has made it possible for you to be able to support financially. If you look down, right down, you see a dollar sign. If you click on that dollar sign, you can easily, support. So it goes a long way. The little you do goes a long way to help us stay in this space, because YouTube analytics too, it rates all these things and see how the value we are bringing to the community before it makes us to still be able to, do all those things we are doing here. So any support you can offer will go a long way. Again, Mr. Killam, Chekadam, thank you so much for coming here today and serving the community. I can tell you that I have gained a lot of value from your presence today, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Karen. It was my pleasure being here, and thank you for inviting me. I have gained a lot just sitting here from you and from the questions from the audience. Your answers have really pushed me a step forward, and I would, just like to finish to say, Karen is just the best. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you all so much.
Bring me back anytime. If you want me to get in depth with any part of what we have just done, I'll be very grateful to always come here. Thank you.
No problem. We appreciate your kind gesture.
Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July weekend.
Happy 4th of July, everyone, especially our US-based viewers. And thank you all, our viewers, for your support, for your love. We appreciate you, and see you next week. Bye.